Hello everyone. This is the fourth video in this series of how to apply for Chinese government scholarship. In the previous video, I talked about research proposal. In this video, we'll talk about email, what you need to know about email, what are the things you need to be careful so which the Chinese professor can read your email and might give you a reply. Because most of the time, as I mentioned before in my previous video, that every professor here receive almost hundreds of email every day and they simply delete it without reading it, or they can assign one of their student to read the email. If the student find anyone good enough, he will refer it to the professor. Mean out of 100 maybe one guy get the chance. It's just because their email is so generic, so common, that they simply delete the email without reading it. But before going to discuss the email, let's talk about CV, resume, because in the email you need to send your CV plus your research proposal. So CV is also very important as your research proposal, which will highlight your background. So about the CV, your CV should be short and precise, and it should highlight your your academic achievements and your educational background. It should not be related to other things, like for example, you should not mention that I worked for 4 years as a salesman. This is not related to research or education. So instead of, for example, you can we all do, you can exaggerate a little bit. We all do exaggeration in our CV and resume. For example, if you work somewhere as a salesperson, so instead you can say I work as a research assistant or something like this. You can exaggerate, but of course you can exaggerate the things which later you can justify. If you cannot justify something, you should not mention, or you should not exaggerate. For example, you should not, if you don't have any research paper, and you should not say that I published 3 papers, because later the professor might ask you where are the 3 papers, so you won't be able to justify. So you can exaggerate a little bit in your CV, but you should exaggerate the things you can justify them later. So remember, your CV should be related to your educational background and your academic achievements. So you only need to put these things. Do not put other useless things like hobbies, or I like cricket, I like hockey. These things are not important. So you should only, your CV should be short and precise. It should be related to your educational background and your academic achievements. And if you have any research related experience, you can say I work as a teaching assistant or research assistant or something like this, a research analyst or something like this. You can mention short and precise, because if you send like 3 4 5 pages CV, they will not read, they will just read your name, they will simply delete it, they will not look at your CV. So CV should be short and precise and related to your education and academic achievements. Okay, this is about CV. Now let's come to the email. Your email should not be generic or not a common email like any other email, like the people are sending beginning from dear sir, this. No, they will simply delete, discard, they will not read your email. So your email should be unique, should be different from the usual and common emails. And like for example, the first thing in the email is the subject line. The subject line should be unique, should be different, not the usual one. Like most students, they when they send emails to professor, they say applying admission for PhD, applying for master's admission. They simply delete, they don't read such email. So do not mention or do not put this kind of subject line in your email. You should use a different subject line. For example, looking for research opportunities, interested in research oriented culture, or joining your research team. And for example, another good example is, if you look at the professor profile on the university website, and there you saw that the professor, for example, he is interested, his research area is urbanization or urbanization problems. So in your subject line, or and later you, how to say, you found a proposal, you made a proposal which is related to urbanization problems. So you can mention in your subject line that looking for opportunities to join your research team or on urbanization problem. So something like this. For example, if the professor for example, if you mention this like this is the research interest of professor, this certain kind of professor, and he found this, so he will definitely open your email. So first you need to look at go to the website, look at the research interest of that professor. Later you need to make some changes in your proposal to match it with the professor interest, research interest. And there in your email, the subject line, you also need to mention this. So don't write a common, a generic subject line like applying for admission or applying for PhD position or something. This kind of email the professor will not read, they will simply discard, delete. So you need, first your subject line should be different, attention grabbing. So for example, when they receive email, the first thing they see is the subject line. If the subject line is good and they are curious, then they will open your email. Once, for example, if your subject line is good, they open your email. So then they will give you a reply, will read your research proposal. Now let's come to the body of the email. You need to write a short and precise email. Do not write a very long email explaining each and everything. No. In the body of the email, I will suggest and recommend you just say your name. You don't, and even don't say that where are you from, because if you are from certain countries from where the professor received like hundreds of email, and if he saw the name you are from this country, oh I got like 100 emails from this country, so he will simply delete your email. So just say my name is this, I'm interested in this research topic or research area, I want to join your research team, something like this, and kindly look or read my research proposal. Just short, just like three lines, not more than three. So then maybe it will make the professor will be curious. He will open your research proposal and he will open your CV and he might give you a reply. So your your email should not be like more than 3 or 4 lines, and just mention your name, your research topic, and your interest to join him, to join his team. And at the end you can say I'm looking forward for a positive feedback, or I really want to join your team, or something like this. So just write like 3 4 lines of email. Don't mention where are you from, what you do, what you did, your previous experience. Like what I want to say is, do not put your CV in your email. So let the professor read your CV. He will know where are you from, what you did, what's your qualification, your educational background. Let the CV do this thing. In your email, in the body of your email, just mention your name, your research topic, and your interest to join his team, and just say thank you and I'm looking for a positive feedback, I'm looking something like this. And remember one thing, the email language, the body of the email, you should write a simple English, because most of the Chinese professors, their English is not good. So do not, like, how to say, get the Oxford dictionary and try to write to impress. You try to impress the professor with your English. He will simply not understand what you wrote in the email. So try, the language should be simple, because most of the Chinese professor here, their English is not that good. So your email should be simple, just 3 4 lines and simple, so they can understand. Because most of the Chinese professor here, most of them, they are not that good in English. Sometimes they use the translation websites, translation applications to translate your email. So you should write a simple email, 3 4 lines. Don't exhaust the Oxford dictionary. Try not to use some fancy complicated English word. Use simple language and simple, write just 3 4 lines. So this might help This might well work for you, and the professor might give you a reply. And another thing, you need to prepare 3 or 4 kinds of emails. For example, I told you I sent 400 emails and I just received 3 replies, 3 acceptance. I just got 3 acceptance out of 400. So you need to sit down, write one, prepare one email and send it to like 100 professors, 100 email, and wait. If the response is not good, then you need to change the format. Change, then send another 100 email and wait. If the response rate is still not good, then you need to change again. Maybe if you send 100, maybe one guy will give you a reply. So if you change the format, if 2 3 guys give you a reply, so it's mean this format is working. So you need to write 3 4 kinds of emails, different. I will suggest first write one, make one format, send to 100, and wait for the response. If the response is good, you don't need to change. If the response is not good, then you need to change your way, your strategy, your subject line, the body of the email, something like this. So this is about email, and if you have any question, you can ask me in the comment below of this video. Thank you.